Carter Thompson. So no hanging around for Hakim Danish, and neither is there any hanging around for Shinya Ezawa, his championship rival, who is straight through and onto Danish's tail in P4. That's a vital first turn overtake from him against Fetasan, who's been dropped down to 6th place.
Yeah, and a good start as well from Nicholas up into the top 5 as well for the 3rd row of the grid on the number 12 machine. As it is Pratama at the front of the field, he's going to be under pressure on the opening couple of laps to see if he's able to hold off these riders behind him. Yesterday we saw that the lead group broke away, and then it was a case of Pratama in the middle of the race being able to open up a big gap to everyone else.
Right, rider Fetasan has been dropped down to 7th position now. Rizwanto has come through as they go side by side for 2nd position as early as turn 10. A big action hotspot that was here yesterday.
Yeah, just seeing a black flag has been given now for the number 8, that's for Putra. He didn't manage to get to the starting grid in time, so he'll be black flagged and have to come back into the pit. So that's the end of his season.
A messy start to the race as far as he was concerned, and indeed this race as a whole, as Pratama makes the lunge back to the inside on Hakim Danish, who had initially led there at one stage on lap number 1. Ezawa's in the mix as well. This is where it gets tight, much tighter than it was in the early stages here yesterday, to be perfectly honest. 5 or 6 riders very much in that lead group and scrapping over the podium places early on, and they're queuing up, and there's contact already by the time we get to turn 16 on lap 1.
Yeah, we've already had 3 races today, and you can see there the 13, that's Hakim Danish getting ran out wide. But we've had 3 races already today, so there's much more rubber down on the track, and that's why we're able to have all those bikes much wider on the run down towards turn 16. 3
abreast coming off turn 16. It was Danish who was stuck up on the outside line, so Danish has got to get his head down now because he has been cost positions majorly. Start of lap number 2 then. It's Shinya Ezawa trying to go around the outside of Nicholas, who hits the front. Carter Thompson then also making his way through. Ezawa was pushed offline there going in towards turn 1, and that's dropped him back down the order. Rizwanto moving up into 3rd position.
Yeah, it looks like he's down to 6th and behind Hakim Danish, his championship rival.
So those two not scrapping for 3rd position as they were yesterday. They're scrapping for 5th position here today. That's still going to be, if anything, work in the favour of Hakim Danish because the point swings are lower the further you get down the order.
Yeah, and certainly for Danish, it's about trying to manage this race as much as possible. Points all the way down to 15th, but it's all about trying to get the big points if you're Ezawa on the number 21 machine trying to get down the inside.
Yes, let's focus on how this group eventually splits up because you're quite sure that it will do. But at the moment, 1.5 seconds all the way down to 15th place. You can see Lacan there in the background of the shot. He's the last of the points paying positions as things stand. Hakim Danish there in 4th position, so back ahead of Shinya Ezawa, but your 2 championship rivals sitting in 4th and 5th positions as things stand.
And for Ezawa on the number 21 machine, he knows that he has to get through on Hakim Danish. He has to try and just unrattle and unsettle his rival as well, because in such a big group, that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to your mentality.
As for the race lead, Rizwanto versus Thompson at the moment. Carter Thompson already once a race winner, race 1 in Sepang, the penultimate round of this season, and Rizwanto bidding for a first with best results yesterday. Outside of that lead group, we had 2 separate fights further back. I won't say that the race leader was in a fight because he was away and gone, but no such luck this time around. He led every lap yesterday, did Pratama, but he's down in 6th position on lap number 3. 16 laps, so a fair way still to go.
Yeah, it's a long race around this Mandela International Circuit, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that there's no real place to rest other than the start-finish straight. So for these ATC riders, you're always moving the bikes, you're always in a bit of a battle. And other than that start-finish straight, you get no chance to really have a bit of rest time.
Fastest lap of the last lap around, the first fully up-to-speed lap, as it were, in race 2, went to Rizwanto, 1 minute 45.209 for him, currently in that 4th position. It's Thompson who leads us then from Nicholas in 2nd, the 2 Australian youngsters up at the head of the field. But that Australian dominance is about to be broken up by Hakim Danish, who puts a bike between himself and cycle rival Shinya Ezawa. And Ezawa's wide over the curbs, and Rizwanto is going to pull alongside. They almost touch, but eventually Rizwanto backs out of it going into turn 11.
Yeah, Ezawa's brave as well to try and run around the outside, put a lot of faith in the other riders there that they're not going to make a mistake as well. So Ezawa on the 21 knows that he can't afford to let this leading 3 break away. It's Nicholas Danish and Carter Thompson out in front, and you certainly can't afford to let them drop, because Hakim Danish, as the championship leader, he's in the position to win this title right now, and for the 21 of Ezwa, can't give up any margin.
We have generally been quite impressed with the cleanliness of the racing this weekend. The track has not been easy to manage at all in any of the classes that we've had in the Superbike paddock, let alone for some of our young guns. We're talking riders 13, 14, 15 years of age for many of them, but they have negotiated it pretty well, and for the moment we've got all of the riders barring Putra still running in the group. 3 seconds now covering the top 14, though Lacan is the first to break away from the rear of that lead peloton. Danish getting back through on Carter Thompson, and another new fastest lap of the race last time around from Hakim Danish.
Yeah, but Danish runs in a little bit hot into turn 2 there. Carter Thompson's going to have a bit of a run in them now.
And on that racing line, the black strip that you can see of rubber laid down by all of the classes. This is the 7th and final race of the weekend here in Indonesia. We've had 3 in Superbikes and 2 in Supersport, as well as the Asia Talent Cup race 1 yesterday afternoon. Danish then who leads, Carter Thompson in 2nd, Nicholas in 3rd. There goes Ezawa fighting his way through. Watch out for turn 10. It is something of a pinch point. We've seen close calls already through this weekend in the Asia Talent Cup. We're going to see another one there. Carter Thompson running wide, as he did, remember, onto the green paint in the case of race 1, but running wide over the curve that time around opens the door to Hakim Danish, and once again he's your race leader.
Yeah, and you can see that lead group though is a case of changing places and trading paint all the way through, and for Ezo on the number 21 machine, we saw yesterday that turn 10 was his key overtaking opportunity. That was his favourite spot, and he's made a few moves into there already in this race.
So they come then towards turns 15 and 16, ever tightening right-handers, and change of position once again for the lead. Carter Thompson re-establishing himself at the head of the field, but he has run wide as they come through 16. It will give him the inside in time for turn 17. He sweeps back across the racing line and recovers that 2nd place at very least from Shinya Ezawa. But that holds up Ezawa momentarily. He's now half a second behind Hakim Danish. Is this an opportunity for Hakim Danish to break away? He's not going to be picked off going in towards turn number 1, and the rest of the circuit doesn't necessarily present major opportunities for slipstreaming.
You can see there for Nicholas on the number 12 and then Pratama both into turn 1 coming very close as they make their way through on Thompson and also Ezawa, so they're trying to make sure they can get to the front, but when you scrap like this, you cost each other momentum, you cost each other time. Hakim Danish has a chance to break away.
And if Danish can capitalise on it, he's now half a second ahead of Ega Pratama. If he can capitalise on it, then Thompson now has slotted through as well. Daki will recover as they come back towards turn number 1 at lap 14, so 3 now to go. The countdown really begins for Hakim Danish. He is half a second now down on Ega Pratama. Does rather look, for the moment at least, as though he's settling in for 2nd in the championship.
Yeah, half a second behind, but 9 seconds in hand over his championship rival, so it's certainly no reason to be pushing too hard now in the closing stages. Just enjoy the last 3 laps.
I said it at the top of the programme, the calculations were as complicated or as straightforward as you wanted to make them, but for Hakim Danish, a top 2 finish was going to be enough, even if it was his title rival, or even if it were his title rival Shinya Ezawa in front of him at the flag. And as the case is, it's Ega Pratama. The other simple calculation for Hakim Danish was beat Ezawa and you're the champion. So at the moment, he's doing the top 2 that he needs. He's beating the man that he needs to, and this looks comfortably good enough as the rest of the field will scrap intensely now for 3rd position. And look at that big group still with only 3 laps to go.
Yeah, and all the scrapping's causing this pace to drop off down into the 1 minute 45, so about 2 seconds a lap slower than they can be, just because you're battling like this and fighting with each other tooth and nail trying to get to the front of the grid. But with 2 laps to go when they come across the line, that's what you got to do. You're fighting for a podium in the ATC.
Well, that's it. The reality is, for most of those riders, they don't really care about the championship standings. They don't care who's champion of the Asia Talent Cup. They're just thinking about whether they can get 3rd position this afternoon and walk away with their head held high in the final race of the 2022 season. Shinya Ezawa will desperately try to break away, but as far as the championship is concerned, it's only a mistake now from Hakim Danish that could change things at the head of the field. Lap 14 and a new fastest lap of the race from Ega Pratama, 1 minute 42.765. He's gapped Hakim Danish now by over a second, 1.4 seconds last time over the line with 2 to go. So Danish is now settling in for 2nd place. With a gap to this fight, Adaki Thompson Thompson and Ezawa lunging into turn 1. The result of that is that they're 10 seconds still behind Dinesh.
Yeah, and Gumnia was the rider that was the odd one out in the run through turn 1. He was the one that got pushed out wide there, so he moves from the front of this group all the way to the back.
And that, I'm afraid, is bad news around this circuit, because if you are pushed offline, you don't just lose one position. The grip levels are far higher on that rubbered-in racing line. It's one of the most dramatic racing lines that you'll see. It's almost like a flat track groove at this stage. The riders have got to stick on it, otherwise they're going to lose time massively. Pratama then escaping away, 1.8 seconds ahead of Dinesh at the head of the field. Dinesh has used Pratama for what he needed him for, which was to get clear of this battle for third position. Much as Ezawa may go on to claim third place, that will not be enough. He needed to beat Hakim Dinesh here to claim the Asia Talent Cup for 2022.
Yeah, as it is, though, he wants to end the season with that podium as well, and for all the other riders in this group, especially the likes of Carter Thompson on the number 6 machine, he's been very strong the second half of the year. He also wants that final race podium, but there's a few riders in that group as well chasing their first podiums this season.
Thompson in the mix as well, and just eyeing up an opportunity to get through here on Shinya Ezawa. Watch for Odaki, who's been able to repeatedly come through to the front of this group. Just over a lap now to go.
Watch for the number 19 at Hafi as well, because he's been the rider that's slowly and surely picked off one after the other to get himself up into 6th position, and it looks like he's maybe picked up another spot as well there from the timing tower on the left-hand side of the screen.
Yes, Farish Hafi, who had a best results thus far. This is his debut Asia Talent Cup season of 6th position. That was race 1 of round 1, all the way back in March for 6th position. Then Hafi, I should say, he's up in 5th position and scrapping with Ezawa, and has actually got through by the looks of things for 4th position. We saw them there picked up, making their way through the first sector. Pratama now has a 3-second lead, so this is the kind of dominant pace we've seen for him. Quite happy to run his own race on his own at the front of the field. He's led more laps than anyone else in the Asia Talent Cup in 2022, and he's adding some more here this afternoon.
Yeah, very impressive campaign from Pratama, but it's all about this scrap now for the final step on the podium. And certainly for the likes of Carter Thompson, he's always wanted to be at the top of that group through the course of this race, but is that the place you want to be now with a half lap to go?
Hakim Dinesh, who has been the dominant force in this championship. He's had more wins, he's had more podiums than anyone else this season. He has been the man to beat. He's not this weekend. That's VEDA Pratama, who's going to do the double, but Hakim Dinesh, 3.8 seconds now behind the race leader, has got far too much in hand for Ezawa to even dream of making it up. It's over 10 seconds, that gap to 3rd position. Pratama, your race leader. Gunmi is still down in 8th place, so he still has the opportunity to make up those extra positions and the extra 6 points to claim 3rd overall. But it is going to be VEDA Pratama who exits the final turn to make it back-to-back victories and dominate his home round, the Indonesian round, the last of the season. And Hakim Dinesh crosses the line in the 2nd place that he needs in the final race of the season.